Welcome into Kitchen Talk Pickleball Edition. I'm your host, Caitlin Miller, and this week joining us are Christine and Peter Burrows. They are the co-founders of Pickleball Corporate Team Building. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I'm so excited to hear about this interesting concept that you guys have come up with.
We're happy to be here. Good to meet you, Caitlin.
Yes, well, Peter and Christine, first kind of tell me, how did you come up with this team bonding idea with pickleball?
Sure. So Peter and I were at an inflection point in our own careers and lives where we were kind of wrapping up the corporate world and we're putting some thoughts behind what next. And we did one of those little Kaizen exercises. You know, what do you love to do? What are you good at? What does the world need? And what can you monetize? And pickleball kind of kept coming up because it was something we had really gravitated to out of tennis and then into that. And we both had corporate backgrounds where we had done plenty of team building activities in our world. And I had a pretty extensive reach in this leadership development community. And so we just kind of put our heads to it while we were still working. And I developed a curriculum that kind of taught work teams how to play pickleball, but also gently unpacked and allowed everyone to explore some of their communication styles, some of their strengths and weaknesses, if you will, on the pickleball court. And we put it together and it worked really well because our names kind of lined up with the words. So Peter Burrows, Christine Burrows, pickleball, corporate team building. And so we got this cute little idea together and just ran with it about a year and a half ago.
And for those who don't know what you do, tell me, what exactly is pickleball corporate team building?
So, yeah, as Christine pointed out, she kind of developed this curriculum, for lack of a better term, that it takes strategies from the pickleball court, and then how can we extrapolate some of those strategies and skills needed to play pickleball to the corporate world, to the dynamics that take place in an office. I'll give you an example of one. Very simple, think to dink, right? If you know pickleball, you know dinking is a integral part of the game. And for the most part, it's generally a cooperative thing until somebody makes a mistake, perhaps, and then somebody puts it away. And then just using kind of that strategy is, well, how does that translate into the office? You know, everybody needs to be there and working in conjunction and unison, but when the time comes, somebody step forward and take action when an opportunity presents itself. So that's just one example. The idea on a larger scale is just that more so than, and we always like to use the example, say, of Top Golf. People say, oh, we're going team building out to Top Golf. Well, how that usually ends up playing, in my experience, is 5 or 6 people go up there and hit all the golf balls and everybody else sits in the back and has a beer and eats nachos. This is way more, we like to think, all-inclusive. We get everybody out on the court, from the CEOs in some cases to the product manager to the admin assistant, and everybody's on an equal playing field because pickleball is so accessible. You don't have to be a great athlete. So that's really what we like to, at the end of the day, what we like to say is that from our team building event, you're going to be able to take something back, significant to your office and to your corporate dynamics, and your people are going to know each other better and know more about themselves.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I grew up playing almost every sport, but there's never been a sport in my life until pickleball where I literally can play, with my little cousins up until like grandparents and share the court with them. And I think that is obviously what makes, pickleball so unique, and especially with something like yourself, what you guys are doing, because I've been to a lot of corporate events too, where you're right. There's some people doing the activity and then others just, socializing and eating or whatever they're doing. So it's nice to have something where literally everyone, all abilities, all ages can participate.
We have great stories of people coming out who thought they were coming to play wiffle ball. They didn't even know what the sport was. We have people coming out in Doc Martens and green hair and kind of being like, what are we doing? And we just bring everybody along. And I know that it's not just about learning pickleball. That's the excuse. But it's really the learning a little bit more about each other in a constructed play environment with some competition and these pickleisms that gently sort of tap you to do a little self-awareness and other awareness.
I was going to say, I was going to ask you about that, the pickleisms. I mean, so what are some of the activities that you've seen, that have really been successful for corporate teams and that whole team building process?
So we have this flagship offering. It's a 3-hour experience where work groups of 6 to 36 come, and they are handheld through our program. And we have a coach on each court. And the heart and soul of it is these pickleisms. And each one of them is a skill builder around pickleball, but it also mirrors something. So Peter told you about think to dink. Another one is the word R's with an X through it. So it's a communication drill. We can't both hit the ball. We have to actually call the ball. So it's all about mine, yours, go, I got it, communicating constantly, just like you would need to do at the office and holding each other accountable. And then another one is paddles up. It's a readiness. It's a volley drill. If I'm ready, you can trust me that I'm in the game with you. It's a trust and readiness drill. And then there's several more that we have, and we kind of curate those based upon the needs of the company. If the company wants to work on body language and resilience, we have pickleisms around that. If they want to work on alignment and expeditiousness, we have pickleisms around that, depending upon their level of play. And then we compete. So we put those things to the test using pickleball. We do shortened games. We rotate who plays with whom and against whom. And after they've played, and we've scored the game and we've designated a winner and we've recorded that, they go to this celebration board where they give points to the people they just played with and against for demonstrating those other things. Did they have good body language? Did they communicate well? Did they slow things down? Did they have patience? Those kinds of things. And we reward people for all that. So we're celebrating both the competitive athletic folks who learned the sport well, and also those people who really kind of demonstrated positive teaming. And then we debrief that. And I'll just sort of just run with this a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's the basic offering. We also integrate with, like, a lot of companies have already adopted a certain communication assessment like DISC or Clifton Strengths or Enneagram or Working Genius. And if they have, we integrate with that. So we either do a training on that, like I'll bring in one of the people I know who's an expert on that and conduct a full training so that they understand the vocabulary and what it means about them. Or if they've already done that, we just have them wear name tags so that we know what their profile is or their top 5 strengths. And between each pickleism, when we come to the net, we talk about how did you see your woo, your competition, your activator, your positivity, your discipline show up on the court. And so it's a little deeper dive, but still in the environment of play.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And what kind of feedback, after doing all of that and really putting these people to the test, what kind of feedback have you seen from companies after doing these types of activities?
Yeah, so far we've had really, really good feedback, and I'll give you 2 different variations of that I think demonstrate, the kind of positive feedback. One of them is we did an event for a business down in Wilmington, North Carolina, that's where we're from. And once they got back to their office, as Christine mentioned, one of the drills, the readiness drill, paddles up. Well, they adopted that terminology for their morning stand-up once they got back to the office. So every morning,
I love that.
the word goes out, okay, it's paddles up time. And that means they're all coming together for, what like a lot of companies do, their 10, 15-minute stand-up. So they really, adopted that and got something from that. The second one is that I felt like was really nice is just we did a different business, same area down in Wilmington. And we asked for a testimonial from the CEO of that company right after the event was over. And she went on, we almost had to cut her off. She went on for a while saying, this was great. We learned so much. Everyone had fun. Just everything we wanted, quite honestly, to hear. But the linchpin in it for me was that we have so much we can take back to our company as a team. And in fact, we only did it for about half their employees, and she wants to do another one down the line. So I think, we've really gotten a lot of positive feedback, both from people who have, participated, obviously, and then a lot of people like yourself, Caitlin, just hear about it and go, wow, that sounds really interesting. So I think we have a lot of runway in front of us too.
And obviously, you both have put a lot of, time and passion into this. So what has been, I'm sure it's great to hear those testimonials and see how much your concept is working. And how has that been rewarding also for you both?
How has it been for us just to receive those
Yeah, just,
testimonials?
I mean, to feel like, oh my gosh, all this hard work we put into this concept, it's really helping people and helping companies.
Right. Well, obviously, we wanted to be able to spread the sport, but we also really feel like it's more impactful what we're doing because, like this woman, Kim, she didn't talk about the pickleball that much. She actually talked about the experience with her teammates and what they saw in themselves and the impact of that. So it magnifies the good of what we were trying to do. And then just sort of, and maybe this isn't exactly what you were asking, but when we went up to Pickleball Minds in May of 2024, which was, the launch of a, international business ecosystem around pickleball, people are launching companies for facilities and for, paddles and for league play and all these things. And we're sitting up there with just our little idea and this is great. We want this at our facility. We want to do this with our team. And we realized it was bigger than just our little, retirement job down in Wilmington.
That's amazing. And saying that too, you guys have the capability, right, of working with companies all over the country.
We do. Right now we can hop in the van and go anywhere, but we can deliver, in any location. But really, that's not our kind of end game. Our end game is for us to have partnerships with folks that we trust to run our program with integrity and do it in other locations. And so we have that in Chicago and Indianapolis right now, where we have agents. Chris Klein and Steve Maniago, both are top tier players. They come out of the corporate world. They understand our model. They've been trained in it, and they deliver it in facilities in those locations also. And because we all just love what we're doing, we'll pretty much go anywhere right now. And we get a lot of interest. I mean, it is, I guess if you were to Google pickleball corporate team building, we're like, the first, we have organic traffic there. We're getting noticed. And I think people have a piqued interest in how to do that. And so, yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's the perfect, I mean, sport, kind of like we discussed, to do that, and a great activity. And I'm sure, like, one of the things I was thinking of, I always thought, especially when I was younger, in gym class, let's say you're learning a new activity and there's that person that's shy or less athletic, and then at the end you kind of see them blossom. I'm sure that is something you guys see too, where, you have this group of people. I'm sure there's more confident athletes, but then there are the people that might not even wear the right attire, to play, and then you really see them shine through the activities that you provide.
Pickleball like that. Don't we all have those stories of just like the couple who, was in Discord and came and played pickleball and they either, kissed at the net and made up, or like the people, that's one of our favorites. It's just, but also like the non-athlete who now has this group of friends and does these things. I mean, we definitely have had the experience of people afterwards just saying, I had no idea I could do this. Right. I mean, tell them the story about the one of them.
Yeah. So at one event, I kind of, when people get there, I check them in, whatever. She comes in and she goes, pickleball. And I said, okay, and Cindy, whatever her name was, go, there's a paddle back there and a ball, because we have them just kind of, especially beginners deal, pop a ball up and down on a paddle just to get the feel for it. And she goes, paddle? I thought we were playing baseball.
Oh my God.
She had no idea what the sport even involved. 3 hours later, we're leaving. I'm Cindy. How'd you like it? She goes, I'm getting my own paddle. I'm going to start playing pickleball. I had so much fun. And she goes, honestly, she said, I'm not very athletic, but I enjoyed this so much, and I feel like this is something I can do. So when you see that, it's kind of to Christine's point. It's rewarding. And it just proves how accessible it is to just about anyone.
And what about you two? How did you guys get started playing pickleball?
I mean, everyone has a really good story about that, right? So
yes.
About 7 years ago, friends in our neighborhood had one of those backyard courts that they had lined for various things, and they brought us over and they said, hey, there's this game that we heard about, and here are the paddles, here are the balls, here's a beer. Hit the ball in the net. So it's like Friday night, and we're just no talk of a no volley zone line, no talk of a kitchen. So we were playing it wrong, and we were, coming to the net and slamming balls and having a jolly time, and like, this is a blast. We'll come back. So the next time we came back, they said, oh, we learned this rule. Like there's this little line here, you got to let the ball bounce. And I'm like, this is nowhere near as much fun. And meanwhile, Peter's mother, it was, 80, had said, you guys should learn this game because we were both tennis players. And like, oh my gosh, an 80-year-old and this little line, forget about it, we're out. And it was probably a year later before we played for real. And then we were going back and forth between Indiana at the time and North Carolina, and we were finding it in both places. And our tennis friends were doing it, and people that were down at the beach in cargo shorts and fisherman shirts were doing it. And we were like, this is kind of cool. It crosses all these boundaries for social life too. And it just gradually, Peter probably bit before I did because I was so tennis oriented.
Yes.
And then, we just, I don't think I picked up a tennis racket in a
I
year.
was going to ask you to still play tennis.
It hurts. It's so long. It's so long.
It is so hard to go back and forth.
Do you play both?
I grew up as a tennis player, and my sister's trying to get me back into tennis to play in our club championship back at home in July. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to get a few lessons just to get, back into that like competitive mindset. But I was going back and forth for a little bit. I just had a few like pickleball tournaments coming up. So I was trying to just focus strictly on that because for me, it's just hard adjusting to, the ball, the court and everything. Going back is, I don't know. It's very difficult for me.
It's very hard. Originally, some friends were saying, oh, the rapid pace volley and kind of warms up your hand-eye and gets you going. But it's very hard, especially for me, just the racket is so long and the ball is so dense.
Yes.
It just feels like a whole different experience.
It does. And then I remember one time I played pickleball after playing tennis for a few weeks and like literally I didn't even wait for the ball to bounce. I was like hitting it out of the air and I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm getting the rules mixed up. I was like all over the place in both sports. I was like, I just got to stick to one, but they're both great. And I have a lot of tennis friends, still play tennis or they've moved over to the pickleball side. So it is nice to see, those worlds kind of collide as well. And if you guys, like if I'm a company, in Nashville or North Carolina, that wants your team building experience, how does someone go about signing up for that?
The best way to do it is just to give us a call or you can fill out a form on our website and then we'll connect with you and talk about what your goals are. How many people do you have? What's your availability and your time? What do you want to do out of this? Do you really just want to recreationally learn to play, or do you want to tie into one of these assessments? Like I said, this is our core offering is team building, but if a company is really small and doesn't have a lot of people, but they have clients and they want to do it more as an entertainment piece, they want to do it as a networking event for prospects, we can do that as well. It looks and feels different than the team building does, but we like to bring groups onto pickleball courts to, grow in positive experiences across the board. So however we can do that. And then it's really just the facility. Where's a location that could work for your team? Does it have to be indoor, outdoor? We have relationships in Wilmington with indoor and outdoor courts that, love what we do and love to let us use their courts. And then our agents in Chicago and Indianapolis also have those relationships. And so we can do those kinds of bookings for people. But sometimes people, like companies, have courts on their property, or they know of somebody who has courts and they want to use those. We aren't we're not tied to a single location.
We have an event coming up there. We're, I think, doing it in a church.
Yeah.
Wow,
the church
that's awesome.
has some sort of athletic facility of some sort or multi-purpose room, and that's where they wanted to do it. So, just also to mention that you said visit our website, just so we all are clear, pb-cb.com. So I don't know if you'll present that somehow with the notes, but I just want to make sure that was out there.
Awesome. And I know you guys have a lot of future goals, right? You've done a lot so far, but talk to me a little bit about some ways you are looking to expand.
So I think Christine mentioned, we have these agents in Indy and Chicago, and that was kind of as we were developing our growth plan, because we're clearly can't be everywhere at all times and,
Right.
in multiple places at one time. We first thought about trying to establish relationships with facilities. And as you mentioned, we were at this event back in the spring, Pickleball Minds, and we got a lot of interest from facilities up and down the East Coast, just everywhere. And as we started to investigate and meet with these people, we kind of got the mindset of, in order to, what we feel very strongly about, I'll use the term protect the brand. We decided, let's get away from trying to align with a facility in and of itself, but let's find an agent, again, the term we're using, that we've trained with. While they're not our employee literally in the legal sense, but they're our contractors, but they know the program. And we've actually, the agents she mentioned, we've had one of them down to Wilmington to participate and get some training. We've gone to Indy and done some training with the other one. And we just, feel much more at ease that what we intended for this and what we've developed and curated for this program is getting delivered that way. So that's our growth plan, is to try and add these agents, in different cities throughout the United States, because we've had interest from as far away as Washington State, Nebraska, we're just this little old website in Wilmington, North Carolina. But the interest is there. So that's our kind of go forward strategy, is to find more agents around the country. And they don't have to be, professionally certified pickleball instructors, but, as she mentioned, the ones we have are instructors and are both accomplished pickleball players, but also that corporate background is very, very helpful for these types of people we're looking for. So that's where we're hoping to grow this, kind of to the next level. That all being said, we'll travel as well. Should the opportunity exist, that would be the way to do it. So we'll work both ways.
I was going to add to it, the benefit of growing with people that you trust and who love what you're doing is that they also improve your brand. So while we say, oh, we have this great program, we're really proud of it, we really want to, deliver it as often as we can, when they do it for you, they can give you feedback and say, oh, here's another idea you might consider. Yeah. And then we're a team. So we want that input. We want that feedback.
And that's great. So these agents, do they go out and also seek, companies that you'd want to work with, or are they more that liaison between your company and the facilities and kind of teaching the workshop?
Yes to all of the above. We have a weekly meeting with them and we work through our pipeline, and we have a marketing, initiative that we work on as well. So we try to market into those areas and continue to market and develop the content around what our brand offers. So it's a team effort, and we love that. We actually love our weekly meeting.
I was going to say, from this whole idea and having to travel and work with people all across the country, I'm sure you've met an amazing network and community of people in pickleball, all over. It's
great. I mean, we have, just like everybody, you go into a town and you just want to play, and you pull up your, places to play up, and you show up and you meet people. Well, now we actually have the benefit of, evangelizing the sport to people in different locations that have never heard of it, or have heard of it, have dabbled in it a little bit, or a little intimidated with their next steps. Because we also say from the get-go of our program, our goal is not to make professional pickleball players out of anybody who goes through our 3-hour event. Right. It's to bring the teams closer together. That's our number one initiative. But if you leave after there and you say, oh my gosh, I have the bug, well, we're going to refer you to the people that we know who teach. We're going to refer you to the facility that just hosted you to play at. We're going to talk to you about paddles and equipment, but that's not our core offering. So it really is an opportunity to evangelize the sport across all of the businesses that integrate with ours as well.
Yeah, and I think it's important too. So if I'm a corporate business looking for, to work with you guys, you would be the ones providing, an instructor, someone running it, and also the facility, right? And yes. Just kind of the curriculum.
Yes. We want to make it as easy as possible for the company who wants to do it. But we also want to meet their needs. If you tell us what you're looking for out of this, obviously they have an interest in pickleball. They wouldn't have, followed the breadcrumbs to us. But usually the linchpin is, it's not just play pickleball. It's, I'm going to get something more out of it. And I'll just say this, when a company is looking to spend money on their employees, they have budget to do team building, but they might have budget to do, health and wellness. They might have budget to do, retention strategies or leadership training. They all kind of play into this. So you get to draw from multiple buckets to be able to do something that meets all of those initiatives as well.
I love that. And 7 years ago, when you first, picked up a paddle for the first time, did you ever think you'd be here today telling me about your pickleball company?
No, we're going to drink beers in the backyard.
I love that. Well, honestly, it's been so interesting learning about this idea. I think if you want to become an agent or if you're a corporate business, looking for a great activity for team bonding, definitely check out Pickleball Corporate Team Building and their website. And Christine and Peter, thank you so much for joining us, and stay tuned to see who will join us in the kitchen next time.